Thank you for joining me on this adventure. Your presence means the world to me. Welcome, friends, to our video dedicated to dragons, fire and ice. Let's dive right in and uncover its wonders. Fire and Ice. The Dragon Chronicles Dragons, Fire and Ice is a 2004 animated fantasy adventure film and the first of a two-part series based on the Mega Bloks toyline. The film was released directly to DVD in 2004, but also aired on Jetix in September 2005. The story concerns two unknightly heroes, Prince Dev of the Norvagen and Princess Kyra of the Draigar. These two band together along with their dragons, Targon and Aurora, to help save Dragon World and their world from evil. A sequel, Dragons 2: The Metal Ages, was released in 2005. As we enter this new phase, let's navigate the complexities of plot and discover its practical applications. The movie starts with the history of how mighty fire-breathing dragons came to be. The dragons and their crystals of tremendous power came to the human world through a portal from their world of the dragons. But while the dragons brought knowledge and wanted only peace, the human kingdoms of Norvagen and Draigar wanted war and, having misused the knowledge brought by the dragons, battle erupted. Thorin, the Dragon King and holder of the legendary Orothan Crystal, appointed Xenas the Wizard as an ambassador for both the dragons and the two kingdoms with gifts of immortality and power and strength over all of the dragon crystals. However, when things started looking good, an evil force came upon the land and killed the Dragon Queen and took her ice crystal. After this, the Dragon King and many followers returned to their world, vowing to return only after the war had ended. In the present day, King Ulsif of the Norvagen Kingdom is giving his 8-year-old son, Prince Dev, some practice for battle while expressing his hatred for the Draigar, who he believes hunted the remaining dragons to near extinction. While Dev's practice shows him to be too impulsive, Ulsif believes nevertheless that he is ready to begin riding on Targon, the only dragon that they have left. During this time, Xenas arrives and gives Dev his blessing. Meanwhile, in the Draigar Kingdom, King Sidori is training Princess Kyra in the same form and blames the Norvagen for the disappearances of the dragons. Xenas comes by to give the same blessing he gave to Dev so that Kyra can begin flying on the Draigar's last dragon, Aurora. During the flight, the dragons are drawn to a fireball in the sky where a portal opens and a black dragon on fire falls through, knocking the dragons and royals into an old battlefield. The black dragon absorbs a bright green crystal on its neck and marks both the children with his mystical teardrops, disappearing into the ground soon after. As Dev and Kyra prepare to fight, their fathers appear and duel. While Dev and Kyra are taken away by their dragons, Xenas watches through his screen crystal, stating that the battle begins again. 8 years later, Dev and Kyra are both 16-year-old teenagers with strange abilities and want the war to end, but their fathers object to their ideas on how it should. They both violate orders and continue with their ideas anyway, catching the eye of Xenas in the process. The two royals fight until their fathers and armies show up to fight to the death once and for all. Just before the battle commences, an army of Vorgons show up and capture the kings. Xenas arrives just in time to save Dev and Kyra and takes them to his ice mountain home. Once there, Xenas recommends that they retrieve the Orothan from a rogue dragon in order to rescue their fathers. In the cave where the dragon resides, they fight him but are quickly overpowered. The dragon then reveals that they were sent there to try and trick him into giving the Orothan's location so that Xenas could take it for himself. They escape the following Vorgon attack and go to the Ring of Ouroboros. There, the dragon reveals himself to be the Dragon King Thorin. The kings, meanwhile, have discovered Xenas's treachery when they learn that he kept the bones of dragons he had slain. Thorin explains the truth behind everything that made him leave. When Xenas was granted the ability to use dragon crystals, it was only to promote good things between the two worlds. However, Xenas conspired to kill the Dragon Queen with the help of an evil and vengeful dragon named Stendhal and take her ice crystal. When Thorin arrived, he flamed them in his fury, but it wasn't strong enough. He took Stendhal back to the dragon and imprisoned him. Stendhal broke free 1,000 years later and attacked Thorin again. During the battle, the Orathan became activated. While Stendhal was stopped, he hurled Thorin through where he bumped into the royals 8 years earlier. Knowing he didn't have any strength to fight Xenos, who was still alive thanks to his gift of immortality, he absorbed the Orathan into himself and placed it inside Dev and Kyra. Knowing now where their elemental abilities came from, Dev and Kyra begin practicing their powers over fire and air, but they tear a hole in the ring of Ouroboros, alerting Xenos to their position. They escape the attack with Targon and Aurora's help and head for Xenos' castle. Back at the castle, Xenos summons ice dragons to fight Thorin. Dev and Kyra break in and quickly dispatch the Vorgon guards, but are captured by Xenos, who uses a mind-reading crystal to discover the Orathan's hiding place within Dev and Kyra. He then proceeds to extract it from their bodies. Thorin crashes through and falls to the base of the castle, where he discovers the skeleton of his queen. With a new driving force, he heads off to fight Xenos. After betraying Gortaz, the leader of the Vorgons, Xenos gets hit in the face by Kyra. A mask falls off to reveal that Xenos' face is burned. The downside of Xenos' immortality was that he could never heal himself, and he wants revenge for this. He opens the portal to Dragon World, but Thorin gets in the way, but Xenos traps him in ice, then explains that Dev and Kyra are weak and cannot do anything. Thorin begs to differ, pointing out that Dev and Kyra were chosen by the dragons themselves. With this, Dev and Kyra use their elemental abilities to break free and put the Orathan back on Thorin's necklace. Thorin sticks himself in front of Xenos' ice shards, seemingly sacrificing himself. However, he stands back up and then drags Xenos back to Dragon World. With Xenos gone, the ice castle begins to fall apart, so the kings and their children escape on Targon and Aurora. The next day, both Norvagen and Draigar armies celebrate at Ulsuf's castle. During the celebration, the dragons return. Dev and Kyra jump onto Targon and Aurora to join the flight. As the celebration continues, Xenos vows from his prison in Dragon World, which seems to be inside the Orathan itself, this is not over. The spotlight now falls on Prince Dev as we delve deeper into its details. Prince Devmark Hildred is among the greatest of Norvagian warriors, though he suffers from a troubled temperament. At 16, he is the only son of the Norvagian King Ulsuf. When Dev was born, his people had already been at war for 1,000 years with their bitter enemies, the Draigar. As the years passed, Dev matured into one of the foremost Norvagian warriors, and remains a warrior at heart even now that peace has been established. Dev is a brazen risk-taker and has an unusual mental connection with the air and wind. It seems to reflect his moods, howling along the Norvagian battlements when Dev himself is angry. As Dev matured, his aerokinetic abilities grew much stronger and more formidable. But this is cause for unease, because Dev does not have full control of these airwind-based abilities, and nor does he have full control over his own turbulent moods and emotions. Dev's temperament is like his paternal great-grandfather, who was a berserker whose battle fury carried him to victory after victory, until in the end it eventually destroyed him. Deep down, Dev himself is increasingly worried about his moods, and fears what destiny may lie in wait if he is not able to subdue them. In the upcoming portion, we'll be dissecting Princess Kyra to gain a comprehensive understanding of its implications. Kyra Kyorazani is a close and good friend to Dev. She too was born into nobility during the 1,000-year war between the Draigar and Norvagen. Unlike Dev, this young Draigar princess is thoughtful and meticulous, and rarely given over to impulsive actions. This tendency to overthink and overanalyze means that Kyra sometimes lacks spontaneity. She is fearless, brave, courageous, and formidable in battle. With her martial arts prowess, she's as graceful as a dancer and as swift as a striking, deadly snake. She is also quite skilled and proficient in using an extremely long white and pink bow staff weapon in conjunction with her hand-to-hand combat and martial arts skills, making her more of a match for multiple adversaries. Her exceptional knowledge and skills in both Bujutsu and Jujutsu are quite extensive. Kyra also has a deadly dry wit, and a tongue that's as quick as her spearhead weapon. She possesses a magical ability and a destiny she does yet fully understand. She has a mystical connection with fire, flame, and heat, which will flare up and recede in accordance with her moods, just like Dib's incredibly strong aerokinetic abilities. Increasingly troubled by Dib's turbulent moods, Kyra has tried to talk to him about her concerns, but this just causes him to withdraw from her. Kyra still regards Dib as her closest and dearest friend, but these days she feels painfully distanced from him, and more she fears where his inner anger will lead him. In this part of the video, we'll be diving deep into Xena's and unraveling its profound impact. Xena's Mark Oliver is an evil wizard who cryokinetically creates, controls, molds, and manipulates solid ice to his every whim and desire. He is a tremendously strong and powerful, and along with Stendhal, assassinated the Dragon Queen and many more dragons and stole their power crystals to tremendously magnify and increase his own magical strength and abilities 100-fold. With his screen crystal, he can telepathically see into people's minds. He longs to own the Orothan, the almighty powerful crystal belonging to King Thorin himself. He also wears an ice mask which looks like his original face. His real face is hideously scared, burned and deformed from the retaliating attack from Thorin after his dearly beloved queen's murder, and he resents Thorin even more for this fact. Get ready for a thought-provoking discussion as we delve into Gortaz and its impact on our understanding. Gortaz Brian Dobson is a Vorgon. The Vorgons are a race of half-human, half-beast creatures. Gortaz is the leader of the Vorgon army and killed many dragons with Xenas for food. The Vorgons themselves have been able to tame a primitive race of dragons from the swamps known as Nogads. Gortaz is eventually betrayed by Xenas and falls to his death. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting Thorin and exploring its intricate connections to our topic. Thorin Richard Newman is the king of dragons. He wears a huge silver collar around his neck, but it has no gemstone. This is because he split the bright green-colored Orothan, his gemstone, into shards and hid the shards inside Deb and Kyra, which gave them their elemental abilities over air and fire. Thorin can pass between both the human and dragon world and activate magical locations no others can. His beloved queen, whose name is unknown, was assassinated by Stendhal, a rogue dragon that was once good friends with Thorin. He can breathe incredibly strong and powerful fire. His gemstone is the Orothan, and he is the only one besides Janos who can use it. In this section, we'll be deep diving into Stendhal, unraveling its complexities and uncovering valuable insights. Stendhal Scott McNeil is a red dragon who was banished from Dragon World for committing treason. He was once friends with Thorin and often competed with each other, but when Thorin was crowned king of the dragons, Stendhal grew jealous and rebelled against him. He teamed up with Xenas to kill the Dragon Queen so that Xenas could take her ice crystal. As punishment, Stendhal was imprisoned for 1,000 years. After he was released, he immediately battled Thorin once again. During this battle, the Orothan was activated, and though Stendhal was defeated and imprisoned in a golden temple, Thorin was hurled into the human world. He was almost freed by a sorceress named Scylla, the leader of the Odoku, in return for teaching her how to conjure shadow dragons. With our curiosity piqued, let's embark on a dedicated exploration of shadow dragons and its fascinating intricacies. These dragons are the spirits of evil dragons, made of shadow. They have high-pitched whispery voices and can scare humans into death. They are normally never seen but fly around sometimes when summoned. Stendhal had knowledge in how to summon these evil beings and taught the methods to Scylla in exchange for his freedom. It is said when shadow dragons kill pure-hearted dragons, their victims are reborn as light dragons, the polar opposites of shadow dragons. Light dragons are said to be the only creatures powerful enough to kill shadow dragons. After Slan was killed in Metal Ages, he too became a shadow dragon and managed to sneak into Dragon World. Slan was described as weighing 20 tons and even his legs breathed fire. This was later revealed to be due to the JATO bottles he strapped there, which he used for both flight and weaponry. As we enter this new phase, let's uncover the impact of ice dragons on our broader topic. These dragons are made of dragon bones and ice, and were summoned by Xenas. They screech a lot and breath sharp shards of ice breath. They can be melted by fire and have long curving horns like a bull. Remember to follow me on social media for behind-the-scenes content and updates.